Cancer, is it a blessing or a curse? One thing's for sure, isn't it, that, for want of a better word, it brings us gifts that we might not necessarily want, but it also brings us losses. And today I want to talk about whether the richnesses of those gifts really outweighs the losses. So, for those of you that may be feeling the blues a little bit at the moment, hopefully this will help lift and see where maybe a little bit further on you can gain rewards from this whole thing. So meanwhile, I'm really sorry, by the way, that this week's video is rather later than I'd normally want it to be. I can't divulge too much now, but I've got a case for neglect that I've rather been very preoccupied with over the last week. But meanwhile, here I am, moving forwards. I've written my list. Let's talk about the losses first, because, well, ending on the more positive things I think is a better way to go. My losses, probably, I think, day to day, the biggest loss is that carefree joy of lightness, of what we took for granted before, every day that becomes not knowing how much there is, living in the sheer ignorance and bliss of not having cancer hanging over our heads. So that lightness of being, I really do miss that one. Yeah, that's taken away from us, isn't it? So the second one, on a more mundane physical level, is the loss of maybe the effect that cancer has had on our bodies. And I know that I'm luckier than most, because I didn't do much chemotherapy, and I've pretty much not had to go through a lot of what I know you all are. But I'd say that on a day-to-day basis now, the main thing that I think it has damaged is my memory. I mean, this is a case in list. In the past, I know that I would be able to sit here and manage to remember most of this without a list. But yeah, my memory. Two things. I think being given a terminal diagnosis puts you in a state of trauma that, without a shadow of a doubt, affects one part of our memory. And the other is, with a little bit of chemo that I did do, it created a premature menopause for me. So yeah, all of that sets in another type of memory issue. So the two things combined, I do struggle with on a daily basis. And I didn't expect to lose so much in terms of really sharp memory that I used to have. So yeah, I miss that. So that's number two. And number three, maybe the saddest actually, is, I know it relates to my daughter, but it does affect me too. I feel like she's lost a large part of her childhood from not just 11 when I was diagnosed, but before that, because I was really poorly with not much energy in the way that I would have liked to have spent with her. So yeah, I carry the knowledge that she's lost a bit of childhood moving on, and also living day to day with the fact that her dad being a lot older, she knew that she was going to grow up not having a dad, but she never expected to not have a mum. So anyway, hopefully she's a lot better with that now, but that still touches my heart. And then a big one for me is a loss of identity. My identity before cancer was a designer with my own business that, started to do well. I started to be recognised for it. My whole lifestyle gave me a sense of fulfilment and purpose that has gone out of the window now, and trying to look forward to a future with something that replaces the bulk of that, I do struggle with now. I mean, the age that I was at as well, I was at the peak of my career, and within my profession. And yeah, 5 years has gone by. To have lost that, I do feel sad about that. Um, and then really that links into the next big loss, which is financial. Cancer has huge financial impacts on us, doesn't it? So for me, yes, it was not just the business I lost, but it was an income stream that I lost, again, at the peak of my earnings. And yeah, so moving forwards, I've had to work around ways of dealing with that. So there we go. That's 5 items that I've come to terms with that are mainly my main losses. But let's look at the gifts again. I know a lot of people don't like the word gift, do they? Because who wants the gift of cancer? But let's have a think about what it's brought into our lives. I think the main one that happens quite quickly is the ability to live in the moment. When we don't know how many moments we've got left, every moment is brighter and more extraordinary, isn't it? So, for example, I was walking the dog the other day and these beautiful bluebells were in the woods, and I stopped in my tracks and actually looked at them, noticed that most of them were blue, but there were some white ones that really stood out. So, a time like this in the past, I'd probably just walk straight past those. Yeah, I caught them out of the corner of my eye. Oh, they're lovely. But to actually stop in your tracks and admire them more closely, um, yeah, there's real definite joy from that. And the second gift, letting go of anger, letting go of fear. In doing that, we remove a lot of stress from our lives. And yeah, I was certainly a lot more driven in my past and more focused on how things ought to be, trying to controlling things. And and I've let go of all of that, and that brings you great peace when you've managed to do that. So the third one, giving myself permission. In my case, permission to leave my marriage. That's not an easy thing to do at any time in your life. And it gave me permission to realize whatever time I've got left, I deserve the joy in each of those moments. And yeah, I had to do that. And I wouldn't have been able to do it in quite the same way without the gift of cancer. So yeah, I've benefited from that. So number 4, you weed out the toxic relationships, don't you? You find out who your real friends are. And some fall by the wayside, others you choose to lose. But the ones that are there for you, that turn up like at those moments when you didn't realize you needed them, they're there, and what they can bring to the table, how they can help you. I think that's really special to find out sooner rather than later. Some people don't ever find that out, do they? So I think leading on to that, number 5 is I learnt firm boundaries. And this links in with friends, because in the past I might have said, yeah, sure, I'll come. And in the back of my mind thinking, oh gosh, I'd rather not to. Now I don't hesitate to say thanks, but no thanks. And with firm boundaries comes the ability to express what I'm feeling in a way that maybe I wouldn't have done before, that creates those boundaries. Number 6, educating myself in diet and lifestyle. I always thought I knew what was healthy, what I should eat, what I should be doing. But now I've really dived into the whole subject so broadly and deeply. It's given me a joined up ability to understand why I need to do all of that. And I think what this has given me is definitely an idea of how I can benefit physically, considering a longevity of life now, which I'm going to be healthier in a more sustained way than I ever could have done before. And 7, pretty big one, spiritual awakening. Yeah, the fear of dying, it's gone. I don't have it anymore. I could certainly never have said that in the past. It's really made me address that in abundance. But I think hand in hand with that goes a pure, deeper happiness, because I've learned that happiness arises from the inside. It's not about what we get on the outside. It's not about a shopping spree. I mean, what's the point of buying lots of clothes when you don't know how many seasons you'll be wearing them for? But yeah, so I've learned the joy that comes from the inside, which is far deeper and better and more magical than any other form of happiness before. And it's a joy that is much more inner contentment, that's a lot more enduring. So number 8, to love myself. Well, it's only taken 50 odd years, but no, seriously, the gift of loving yourself. You love yourself warts and all, and in doing so you love other people for their warts and all. And the bottom line of this is compassion. cancer brings you the gift to treat other people with compassion. And the most wonderful thing that I think has been born out of this is that I don't need the love of other people to make me feel whole, to make me good. There's no neediness or clinginess that maybe in bad relationships in the past there might have been. So yeah, that corny thing to love myself, to me, I think that's been an enormously big gift. So this is me, my list. I've got 5 losses and 8 gains, 8 gifts. So what I'd love to know from you is what's on your list. I'd be really, really curious if you could do a list now. That's your homework. And do join in the comments boxes below. Let me know what was on your list, because I'm sure that I've missed out a few things here. But I'd love us to form a chat to help each other to see how you all do see and what you're all learning from this. So please let me know. And before you go, please subscribe to my channel. It is free, and give me a thumbs up as well. Let me know that I'm doing well, and maybe also give me a few ideas of the sort of things that you want me to tell you in more videos. So thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye bye.